welcome to Cultural Apologists React for today, September 1st, 2024. This is an AI-generated podcast and can make mistakes. Use it for generating possible ideas, but don't rely on it as an authoritative guide to the day's news or to the details of cultural apologetics. Brazil's Supreme Court blocked social network X after owner Elon Musk refused to comply with local laws, citing concerns over anti-democratic content and misinformation. The platform was inaccessible in Brazil on Saturday morning as internet providers enforced the ban. Millions of users turned to rival network Blue Sky, which reported 500,000 new signups in 2 days. The move marked a culmination of a months-long dispute between Musk and the Supreme Court, with Musk accusing the judge of squelching free speech. So how might we think about this story from the standpoint of cultural apologetics? The recent blockade of social network X in Brazil by the Supreme Court serves as a poignant reminder that our cultural narratives are being rewritten in real time. As I see it, this development is not merely a clash between technological titans and regulatory bodies. Rather, it represents a fundamental struggle over the nature of truth itself. In Orthodoxy, 1918, G.K. Chesterton astutely observes that the whole history of the world is a struggle between two principles, that which makes for individuality and that which makes for uniformity. The story of X's blockade in Brazil, I propose, is an exemplary instance of this timeless conflict. On one hand, Elon Musk's refusal to comply with Brazilian laws can be seen as a manifestation of the desire for individuality, not just his own, but also that of his users. By resisting attempts to censor or regulate content on X, Musk is defending the notion that truth should be freely expressed and debated, unencumbered by external authorities. This stance resonates with Chesterton's idea that the demand for absolute honesty is a fundamental aspect of human nature. Heretics, 1905. However, this impulse towards individuality often leads to the proliferation of misinformation and conspiracy theories, which can have far-reaching and insidious consequences. The other side of the conflict, the Brazilian Supreme Court's decision to block X, represents the principle of uniformity. By enforcing laws aimed at curbing the dissemination of anti-democratic content and misinformation, the court is seeking to maintain a shared understanding of truth within the country's digital ecosystem. This stance echoes Chesterton's notion that the state has a duty to protect its citizens from the contagion of false ideas. What's Wrong with the World? 1910. However, this impulse towards uniformity often entails trade-offs in terms of individual freedom and creative expression. Now, some might argue that Musk's stance is an example of the latter-day equivalent of the Protestant Reformation, a bold assertion of individual liberty against the constraints of centralized authority. While this analogy has its merits, it overlooks the darker side of unchecked individualism. The proliferation of free speech as a euphemism for hate speech, propaganda, and other forms of linguistic violence, as discussed in Chesterton's The Man Who Was Thursday, 1908. The X blockade, then, represents not merely a clash between technological titans, but also a reckoning with the consequences of unchecked individuality. As millions of users turned to rival network Blue Sky following the blockade, it became clear that this was not simply a matter of switching platforms, but rather a testament to the power of human imagination and creativity. In his book, The Everlasting Man, 1925, Chesterton writes about the transformative potential of art and imagination to reshape our understanding of reality. The sudden influx of 500,000 new signups on Blue Sky, a platform that prides itself on fostering a global community built around transparency, authenticity, and respect, serves as a reminder that even in an era of algorithm-driven echo chambers, human beings retain the capacity for self-organization, creativity, and moral discernment. The story of X's blockade in Brazil is thus not merely about technological titans or regulatory bodies, but about the fundamental struggle between two competing visions for our shared cultural reality. As we navigate this complex landscape, it becomes increasingly clear that true freedom lies neither in unchecked individuality nor in enforced uniformity, but rather in the cultivation of a critical, discerning, and creative spirit, one that can recognize and resist the contagion of false ideas while embracing the transformative power of imagination and truth-telling. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Cultural Apologists React. Be sure to come back tomorrow for a new take on the day's news from the standpoint of Christian cultural apologists.